Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 commander precons for beginners. This is obviously going to differ from our normal kind of top 10 because this is more aimed just for completely new players, potentially even the first deck that you're going to be picking up. Generally, you know, it's going to be quite different to someone who's been playing the game for a while or looking to pick up a deck or something. This could be very, very different to that. Or, you know, some of them are even on both lists. So before we get started, these are obviously all subjective and my opinions. Some are based off of strength, while others are just based off of fun, but generally they are all going to be relatively straightforward. And I'm going to skip some of the more complicated ones. I want to make sure that, you know, if you're a new player and you're picking up one of these as your first commander deck, you're going to have a good time, and it's going to not try and, you know, either bore the hell out of you or, like, you know, complicate the hell out of you and then you just don't want to play Magic anymore. Generally, most precons post 2022 are decently good, though some will be needing more upgrades than others. But as I said, this one is kind of a separate list in regards to just wanting to be easier to play decks that are either self-explanatory or, you know, with some minor knowledge of the rules you should be able to grasp pretty easily. So as I said, you know, this is different to this video here, but I'll put a link to that video. That's the top 10 precons that are all just, you know, any precon, not even just ones that are aimed for new players. And make sure you subscribe because, you know, I post this kind of content all the time, try and help out new players, you know, talk about stuff for veterans too. Everything. We kind of cover a bit of everything, and it's the best place to get news as well. Like, we get the breaking news as soon as it comes out. All right, so some quick notes before we start. First up, the Universe's Beyond deck. So these are ones that are kind of crossovers, whether it's like Doctor Who, Fallout, etc. They tend to have a mix of some flavorful but off-theme cards within them. Therefore, it's more likely that you do need to upgrade and change the decks, which makes it a little bit harder for newer players, unless you kind of, you know, watch my videos and then you know what to upgrade in them. But either way, you know, they're a little bit kind of, there'll be cards in there that are like, I don't know why this card is here. It doesn't really fit the theme enough. The other one here is the Peace Offering one. This is the first one that I'm going to straight up say I do not suggest a new player to get this. It is a very fun and very great precon, but the theme of it is group hug, and it's a little bit more advanced because of that, because of just, you know, that theme of, you know, needing to know when to hand stuff out and who to hand it out to and all that kind of stuff. A lot of threat assessment stuff that's not particularly easy for new players to kind of grasp. Compared to, like, you know, a whole bunch of other themes and decks, it's just a little bit more on the advanced side. All right, so the first one here is the Squirreled Away precon. So this one focuses on making a lot of different tokens, including cute squirrels and food and that kind of thing. It's very straightforward. It just create tokens, then make more tokens, and then, you know, tap your commander to get more mana to create more tokens, etc., and then just attack people with them. There's some interesting new cards in there, as well as some, you know, really nice older cards that got reprinted in here too. And you get to experience a little bit of everything with the tokens. You get some, like, you know, treasure stuff. You get some food tokens and some blood tokens and that kind of thing, but it's not like super overwhelming in a, this is like the full focus is around this kind of food tokens and how they all work. It's more like, oh look, I got a food token, let me just read what that does. Oh, that's cool. And kind of, it's a great way to kind of introduce yourself into a whole bunch of different kind of tokens and stuff in a relatively simple and non-overwhelming way. The next one here is the Revenant Recon. So this is primarily based around two very, very simple mechanics. The first one is Surveil, which is just look at the top cards or top X cards of your deck and then be like, oh hey, I want to put these ones back on the top and then summon to your graveyard. And then the other one is Reanimation, which is just, oh look, something's in my graveyard, now it's back on the board. There's nothing too complicated about it because of the fact that it kind of doubles and triples down on just those two kind of themes there. And it doesn't matter as much if, you know, your creatures die to mistakes or anything, because you can just bring them back with various different kind of, whether it's your commander that does it or the other kind of reanimation stuff in there. There's some really great staple cards in there, so even if you get the deck and you play around with it a couple times and you're like, I don't really like this, then there's some stapley stuff in there that's like, oh, but I did kind of like that reanimation theme, now I can use that stuff here. Or hey, I like that kind of surveil-y stuff, I can use that here. The next is Mishra's Burnished Banner, a very long name. So this is focused around artifacts and getting value from your artifacts. It's very simple gameplay. It's play artifacts, and you can either throw them at people and like attack with them and stuff, or you can sacrifice them for various different things. If you love robots and, you know, mechanics and stuff like that, this is really great for you. It introduces a little bit more of some of the advanced mechanics, like, you know, copying triggers and stuff, but it does it in a relatively new player friendly way. So as long as you're playing with someone else who's played the game a little bit, then it should be relatively easy for them to be able to help you out with that. And kind of, you know, it's not super duper advanced themes, but it's kind of a little bit more advanced mechanic. Note that the whole deck is in this retro border, so it's like the old style border here. So just kind of keep that in mind if you are looking at getting the deck, that it is going to look like this, not like kind of modern Magic cards. The next is the Family Matters deck. So this one here is a very, very simple precon. All you're doing is playing cards and playing creatures, and those creatures will all have like different enter the battlefield effects. So it'll be like, hey, when this one enters the battlefield, I do this, etc., etc. And then with your commander, it's, oh, now I'm going to pay 2 extra, and then when I play a creature, it's going to have a baby with it. So boom, now you're getting 2 of that kind of enter the battlefield effect. It's just also a very easy one for you to upgrade and play with. Like, so it's a great kind of like baby's first upgradable deck, because you can upgrade it in so many different ways that there's not even really a way that you could upgrade it that's going to be wrong. There's going to be, like, you could potentially make it weaker or stronger, but, you know, any kind of enter the battlefield effect, you could potentially get some really fun stuff out of and kind of play around with it as well. And it's just straightforward in its game plan. It's make a big board presence, and then your commander becomes a big threat because it gets more powerful based on the amount of 1/1 creatures you've got. And then we've got the Blame Gain one. So this one's different to all the other ones because this is not based on you attacking compared to the others, which most of them kind of, you know, the more simpler ones are just you're attacking and stuff. This is very different to that because instead of you attacking, you're getting other people to attack. It's relatively simple to grasp, as you just have your commander and you're just going to use it to goad the biggest creature, and therefore that person needs to attack with that creature, but they can't attack you with it. So in regards to that, it's just simple to grasp that you just need to do that. But it's also got kind of, you know, a little bit more advanced in regards to it's a bit harder to master, because sometimes it's not as simple as just goad the biggest thing on the table. Sometimes it's like, if I goad this, then they're going to do that, so I can do this instead, which, you know, it starts you kind of thinking more in depth around where to kind of send things, and a little bit more of that kind of like threat assessment-y kind of stuff, which is interesting, but it doesn't do it in a way that's going to kind of overwhelm you to start with, because if you make a wrong choice, it's not the end of the game and boom, you're gone. It's just also really fun to watch your friends / your pod, like the people you're playing with Commander, attack each other to just get extra card draw, or because they're forced to and stuff like that. Like, sometimes people don't want to attack with stuff, so you make them attack with it, and then they're like, dude, really? Yeah, now you get an extra card though. Here, isn't that fun? It's just a really fun deck. So some bonuses here. So these bonuses are ones that are a little bit more complicated or harder to find, but, you know, I think that they are good for new players. So this one here is the Grand Larceny one. So theft decks overall are really great for new players because they allow you to steal other people's cards and play them. You get to experience new cards that you might not have because you don't own it or something like that. And you can also use it to like punch up on people who have invested a lot more in their deck, because you get to draw the top card of the deck and play it. And hey, look, now you've got your, you know, your really great card here, and I get to play it myself. So the reason that I've got this as a bonus and not one of the base ones is because it does require a little bit more knowledge to pilot, just because you need to know a little bit more of to who to steal from. Like, you know, there might be a player on the board who's the better one to kind of steal cards from, and what to play out of the cards that you kind of have the access to because you stole them. But overall, it is very fun and very enjoyable for a new player. It's just, again, kind of like a little bit step up from the ones that I had in the top 5. The other bonus one here is this would take the cake. Like, this would be number 1, the best one to get, except it is the number one best one to get, so therefore it's incredibly expensive and incredibly rare to find because it's expensive and because everyone wants it. This deck is absolutely amazing. So this is the Velociraptor deck from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and it is just play big stompy dinosaurs, and then when you play big stompy dinosaurs, then more dinosaurs come out, and it's very simple to pilot because you're just playing more dinosaurs, and those dinosaurs get other dinosaurs, etc., and then just attack people with them. The only reason it's a bonus one, again, is just because it's hard to find and expensive, and everyone loves big dinosaurs, so good luck finding it at a reasonable price. Some other honorable mentions ones here. These are all pretty decent ones, but they are harder to find and stuff. I do find that, you know, they are just all relatively straightforward, where you, like, once you upgrade them, you can obviously take them in a more kind of advanced route. But overall, you know, they're relatively simple to pilot. They are fun, enjoyable ones, but they are kind of either a little bit older, so therefore, you know, harder to find, or a little bit kind of in demand, so therefore they're harder to find, or just more expensive. So I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think. Do you agree with these ones? Do you disagree? Is there one that you think should have been on this list? Is there one that you don't think should have been on this list? I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.